Yo, the Fantastic Four really could have had a run starting with the film in 2005, and then 2006 with the animated series, and then 2007 with Rise of the Silver Surfer. Honestly, looking back on it, people really only ever talk about the MCU, starting with like Iron Man 1 in 2008, I believe. But like Marvel, not specifically the MCU, but like pre-MCU, kind of like at the start of the MCU, Marvel was just kind of owning everything. I mean, we had you know what's crazy? I don't remember anything about these series except for the freaking opening themes, like the Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes from 2006, and then you have Iron Man, the Animated Adventures from 2009, and then of course you can't forget, what was that, 2008 with Spectacular Spider-Man, Spectacular. Yo! People want to talk about pre-MCU or like beginning of MCU days, and I'm just all like, I'm gonna be honest, I have specific opinions about the MCU watching those movies back, but we'll probably get to that later on. But let's talk about Marvel's just run in the 2000s, yo. Let's talk about their whole entire run, not even specifically the films, just the whole entire franchise. No, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It's already in the title. Like, it literally just tells you it's unorganized. He's a man on a mission. Armor of high-tech ammunition. Trapped on the edge of an endless game. His teenage life will never be the same. In a dangerous world, he does all he can. He's Iron Man. Iron Man. Yo, okay, so I gotta talk about the Fantastic Four. That's the whole point of this video. What are we doing? Oh my god. Why did you let me sing those songs for so often? Are you dumb? I'm sorry. Anyways. Right, so switching off of the Iron Man animated adventures. I talked about this in my previous video where I was talking about comic books. I'm sure I probably got cooked in the comment section. I told y'all, before we start this video, I'm not a Marvel nerd. Like, I don't know anything about Marvel. I'm just like, I'm a very like standard, I can't even call myself a fan. I just like see what I see. I don't know anything. I don't have extensive knowledge. I'm going to be wrong on a lot of things. Again, I'm not like a comic book head or whatever. Like, I'm new to this shit, please. But in my previous video, I talked about how I thought Iron Man was like, I thought Iron Man was like the son of Tony Stark, and it's all because of this show. It's all because of Iron Man the Animated Adventures. So if you don't know, in the Iron Man Animated Adventures, Tony Stark is a teenager. He's not like the 30 whatever that you see in the movies, or I assume in the comic books. He's a teenager, so I kind of just assumed, even though he is Tony in the animated adventures, I kind of just assumed he was the son, like Tony Stark Jr. That's why I assumed Tony because in the 1610 in the 1610 in the new 1610, the current run of the Ultimate Spider-Man with Jonathan Hickman, he's not even called Iron Man. He's called like Iron Lad or something. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, this must be a different Iron Man. Maybe it's like Tony Stark's son. That's why I said that. That's why I assumed that. But I'm pretty sure I'm like 99% sure that I'm wrong. And it all stemmed from this show, because I always thought and always assumed that it was Tony Stark's son because he wasn't the regular age that I was used to. Speaking of superheroes that aren't the usual age that I think they are, let's spit this off into the 1610, the Ultimate Universe, which started in the year 2000 with the original Ultimate Spider-Man, the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Now, this is the first comic book series that I ever finished. And to my knowledge, the 1610, the Ultimate Universe, was started in the 2000s to really gain the attention of like kids and teenagers. So I believe they made a bunch of superheroes like teenagers. Like the Fantastic Four, they're not adults like they are in the 05 movie and 07 movie. They're actually just teenagers. Like Reedrichards, it's very ambiguous. Like you start the comic and they'll say things like, oh yeah, Reed and the team, they're teenagers. In other points they'll say they're early 20s. At some other times they'll say they're 20 themselves. I'm gonna keep it a rack. I literally just finished Ultimate Vision, and I'm currently reading Jonathan Hickman's original run of the Ultimates in, I think that was like 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. And in Ultimate Vision, they say somebody else how old Reed is, and he says that he's 19. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to take that because there were too many age ranges that they were giving these fools. They were retconning their ages. They were changing their ages 24/7. The highest they went up to was like 20, like early 20s. But right now, I'm just leaving it confirmed at 19 because that's the latest age that we have for Reed in the rest of the team. I hate Reed. On God, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep it a rack. I've been keeping my feelings towards Reed locked up because I feel like a lot of people probably like this fool. I hate Reed, and so if anybody's an avid comic book reader, the 1610 is my only exposure into comic book lore. So I'm sure you can probably ascertain why I don't really like Reed, coming off the fact that I'm only privy to the Ultimate Universe. Speaking of which, I'm going to spoil everything. Like, I'm spoiling shit from movies, cartoons, 1610 lore, potentially even 616 Earth Prime lore. I don't know. I'm going to be spoiling everything. So if you want to, don't... By the way, Fantastic Four First Steps hasn't come out yet at the time of me recording this video, and I more than likely won't even have seen it until like a few months after it came out. So no spoilers from that, but spoilers from the 1994 cartoon, animated cartoon, spoilers for 1610 stuff all the way up to the Jonathan Hickman run of the Ultimates in 2012 or 2013, and honestly and then the movies, the 1994 movie all the way up to 2015. Yeah. So I talked about how in that original video, how Reed in the 1610 becomes this Omega villain guy called the Maker. Essentially in the 1610, Reed comes from a very abusive household, specifically his father. I'm not sure if it's his stepfather or if it's his biological father. And his mother is kind of a pushover. He has a little sister, and the only person who really shows him any sort of sympathy or care in his whole entire childhood is Ben Grimm. And so I forget how it comes about, but I'm sure it has to do with some sort of like science fair. Reed gets scouted out by the Baxter Foundation, or maybe it was by like Franklin Storm or some shit. By the way, again, I'm gonna get the finer details wrong or messed up because I have so much lore just like flowing through my brains. Why'd I say that like I was flaming on? Flame on! I'm sorry. I told you it was unorganized. So he gets recruited into this school with a bunch of other very intelligent young minds. That's where he meets JohnnyStorm. That's where he meets Susan. That's where he meets Victor Von Doom. Now, science and all that is Reed's entire life. I want to reiterate that he's 19. Like, he's a teenager. And this is just the oldest point that we know. I'm sure he was much younger earlier in the comics. He was probably like 16, maybe. Like 16, 15, maybe somewhere around there. Just keep that in mind. He's a young teenager. Just keep that in mind. He's a young teenager when you're hearing all of this. Very early on, he strikes up this romance with Susan Storm, Invisible Woman. And a while later, Reed has this breakthrough on this expedition that he wants to go through. The unfortunate thing is that the numbers or whatever, they're wrong. And so the expedition goes awry. And this completely alters the 5 of their lives for the rest of time, making them the Fantastic Four. And then another person who was also on the expedition, Victor Von Doom, becomes Dr. Doom. And all throughout this comic, Reed is eating himself up. He's beating himself up because every single day he's reminded of the fact that he's the reason why these 5 lives are forever altered. He's the reason why Susan is Invisible Woman. He's the reason why Johnny is Human Torch. And he's the reason why Ben is now this fucking thing, which in every single iteration of the Fantastic Four, I mean, even starting in the 1994 movie, the cartoon series, at least in season 2, I've only watched 1 episode of season 2, so I haven't gone too in depth with it. But that first episode of season 2, oh my God, coming off of season 1 was so whimsical. And then season 2 just was all, oh my God, I gotta keep notes because I'm gonna get lost. No. Okay, I gotta make notes. In a dangerous world, he's Iron Man. Yo, the animated series of the Fantastic Four 1994 was so cracked out. Honestly, the Fantastic Four's run in 1994, including the film, and then the animated series was so cracked out. I don't know what them dudes were on. They were on something, y'all. They were on something. I'm telling you, there was not. I think there was about like 1 episode of the animated series. I mean, it was cool. I'm sure I would have enjoyed it, if I was a child. But my favorite episode, at least of season 1, was the one where they went against the Super Skrull. Yo, the Super Skrull, that was the only episode where I felt like, oh my God, there's some stakes here. Because the Super Skrull is literally all of the Fantastic Four's powers combined into one human being. It's all like, this dude, this alien, he has Susan's invisibility, Reed's super stretch, Johnny's fire, and then he also has Ben's strength. But he has their powers times 2. So it's not even just that he has their powers, but he also has them like coked out too. And I was watching this episode like, oh my God, like I know they're not going to die, but genuinely, I would not be surprised if this guy is like a genuine actual threat in other pieces of lore. I don't think I haven't seen him in the 1610 yet. I don't remember seeing him, but yo, this dude, Super Skrull, must be an absolute threat. I remember seeing him in an episode or 2 in the animated series from 2006, but oh my God. Yo, 2006 was 19, almost 20 years ago. Anyways, let's talk about something else. I wasn't even born yet. Shut the fuck up! Yeah, there was one episode, I'm going to keep it a rack. You're just going to have to look it up because I might be too lazy to intersplice it into this video because this video is probably going to be loaded. But in terms of commentary, not editing, of course. But there was this one episode where they had the Human Torch rapping about this girl from 1994, and honestly, the song wasn't even that bad. It wasn't even that bad. It was just like, and I looked it up afterwards because I wasn't consciously looking for this stuff, but I was just like curious about certain things or whatever. And I found out that the guy who voiced JohnnyStorm was an up and coming. Now listen, I'm gonna try. Listen, I don't even want to get on dude. I really don't. So I'm gonna be neutral when I say this because I could literally flame bro shit, pun not intended. But apparently, bro was an up and coming rapper. Nigga wanted to be Eminem before Eminem. Nigga was an up-and-coming rapper in 1994. And so the makers of the Fantastic Four 1994 animated film was all like, hey, why don't you make a rap song for us, buddy? And he was like, sure, dude. I think that would be radical, man. And they put that together. And again, the song's not even bad. Again, it's a kid's cartoon. Like it's not great. I mean, I'm also not really. Anyways, so I was looking it up, right? The dude who played JohnnyStorm is this guy called Brian Austin Green. Now, and if that name doesn't strike anything in your heart, you're probably not aware that Brian Austin Green was also married to Megan Fox between 2010 and 2021. This nigga's an he's an it is on site. I'm sorry, bro. Tangent. Who else? Who else is on the op list? We got Brian Austin Green, and then this. Oh my, Cash Warren. This bitch ass nigga. Hold on. Cash Warren. As long as this nigga breathes, there will always be unrest in my heart as long as this man is still alive. Cash Warren in 2008 became my ultimate enemy. Bruh. Oh, my fault. Cash Warren is married to Jessica Alba. Bitch ass nigga, man. I don't even care. It's not even all that. It's fine. I'm not even like pissed at it, but like, on God, it's on site for any of these two dudes, Cash Warren and bitch O'Brien Austin. I don't give a fuck. Oh, and another thing that I learned was that Susan is actually voiced. I think her name is Lori Allen. Girl, did I just really say that? That sound like Lily Allen. Yes, sir. When I see you cry, it makes me smile. Yeah, it makes me smile. It makes me smile. And what I feel right for a while, and then I just smile. I go ahead and smile. La 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 I'm so sorry. I told you it was unorganized. What did I tell you? I'm pretty sure her name is Lori Allen, but it sounds like Lily Allen. Lori Allen. Yeah, her name is Lori Allen. It's what I feel like for a while, but then I just smile. I go ahead and smile. Oh, fuck. She's 5'9". She's almost an inch shorter than me. She voices Lori Allen. I gotta stop myself from potentially saying Lily Allen. Lori Allen voices Susan Storm in the 1994 version of the Fantastic Four. She also voices Pearl in the SpongeBob series. And after I learned that, every time I hear Susan Storm's fine ass speak, I can't help but hear Pearl's big ass from SpongeBob. And it just throws me off every time. Oh, also, just like, I guess I should probably come clean, because I low-key kind of got exposed by the thumbnail, huh? Susan is my favorite. Like, she is my favorite for probably because she's just the. I'm gonna keep it a rack. It probably just has to do with the fact that she's the only woman in the whole entire team. But but also because I hate Reed. We were talking about Reed. Hold on. I gotta make notes. Let's talk about Susan next. When you first left me, I was wanting more, but you were fucking that girl next door. What you do that for? When you first left me, I didn't know what to say. I've never been on my own that way. Just sat by myself all day. I was so lost back then, but with a little help from my friends, I found the light at the tunnel at the end. Now you're calling me up on the phone so you can have a little wine and a moan. It's only because you're feeling alone. Okay. What was I talking about? Reed, you little bitch! It's all because of Reed that his friends have been transformed and altered for the rest of their lives. It's because of Reed that there's been this uptick in alien invasions and these extraterrestrial ET phone home trying to destroy Earth every 2 weeks. And all of that comes to head during this event called the Ultimatum. Now, I'm gonna keep it direct. I love the Ultimatum Event. I really do. I think the Ultimatum Event and then the Fantastic Four Ultimatum Requiem were some of my favorite. Genuinely. So during this whole entire event, superheroes are getting knocked off, nigga. Like Spiderman gets knocked off, Hulk gets knocked off. In one panel, Magneto legit rips Wolverine's skeleton out of his body and shatters it into a billion pieces. I swear to Magneto just rips that nigga Logan, just rips his whole entire skeleton from his body and shatters that bitch. It's been so long since I read that story, but they was knocking niggas off in that shit like every 2 panels, and it was bloody as fuck. It was bloody, it was gooey, it was sticky, it was stinky. So the person who popped this off, was Dr. Doom. Now, I forget his motives for why he did it, but remember, the only reason why Dr. Doom even has his powers is because of the failed experiment from Reed. The reason why millions, and I mean not even just superheroes, millions of people across the world were getting killed. Hundreds of superheroes were getting murked off second by second, panel to panel. All because of the doings of Dr. Doom. And this whole entire time during the 1610, Reed is eating himself up about like, oh my gosh, I did this to my friends. Like, I can't believe I did this. And aliens and all these extraterrestrial activity is because of me. Now, millions of people have been murdered. Superheroes massacred out on the streets because of one person that Reed feels responsible for creating. He's all like, I am the reason why Doom is who he is. I practically created this fucking monster. Right? He's talking to Ben about this. And he likens it to the analogy of people being all like, what are the ethics of going back in time and killing Hitler before, And Reed is running the numbers. He's running the simulation like Vision did in that one Avengers movie. Forgive me. Again, I'm not a Marvel head. I don't know Marvel like lore and extensive. I know it's probably not Endgame. It's a movie before Endgame, but I never remember the title of that film. But where Vision's like, oh my gosh, and I love Ultimate Vision. I really hope we get to see Ultimate Vision in the MCU or some other live action because I love her so much. She's so cute. Anyways, is that what Vision originally was? Because in the MCU, I'm pretty sure Vision is just like Tony Stark's creation. But in the 1610, Vision is just her own little thing. Anyways, her own little creation. Anyways. So Reed's running the numbers, and he comes to the conclusion that every single universe, Doom is going to cause destruction. There is nothing I can say to him. There's nothing I can do to him. Every single universe leads to pain and destruction of humanity, all at the hands of a man that I created. And he goes, the only reality where we can save the world is the one where I kill Victor Von Doom. And he goes, but I'm too weak. That's just not something that I can do. And I feel as though this is probably the start of where we see the Maker sort of come out. Reed's been beating himself up about this whole entire reality that's going on in the 1610. And other people have been too. It's not just Reed. Other people have been shitting on him all throughout this whole entire comic, being like, yo, this is your fault. This is your doing. 15, 16-year-old boy, by the way. Child. So because of the events of the because of the events of the Ultimatum Event and his actions, Reed wanted to propose to Susan after, I'm pretty sure he's like 19 by this point, because this is like a few years later down the line. He wants to propose to Susan. And because of Reed's actions, I can't remember what he did specifically, but Susan ultimately rejects him. And one of the deaths that occurred in the Ultimatum Event was the death of Franklin Storm, Susan and Johnny's dad. And that just completely just shatters them, the both of them, of course. I mean, it shatters the whole team. And so the Fantastic Four ultimately go their separate ways. They break up. Reed is left with nothing. He doesn't have the Fantastic Four anymore. He doesn't have Sue anymore. And he's forced to move back into his abusive household. And this is where I'm just speculating. I've only just gotten to the start of the Ultimates by Jonathan Hickman. And this is where I assume we're going to see more of the Maker in this series. I haven't seen too much of him besides like Ultimate Enemy, Ultimate Mystery, and I don't remember which comic it was. I think it was Ultimate Enemy. That's where we saw him for the first time as the Maker. Maybe, who knows? Again, I'm not a comic head. This is unorganized. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we can infer from the new Ultimate series that's going on with the new Ultimate Spider-Man and all of that the Maker is a guy, again, the Maker is Reedrichards, is a guy who reset the whole entire universe, specifically handcrafting which superheroes he would allow to remain superheroes and which superheroes he would not allow to be created. Reed is the reason why Peter never became Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. He stops a bunch of other superheroes from becoming who they were destined to be in the regular universes. And it's all in an attempt to create this perfect world, essentially. One where he feels everything is just, one where he feels like, I don't know. I low-key sympathize with the guy. Not gonna lie to you. Of course, I don't like what he did. Of course, I don't agree with what he did. But, the actions or his life before dissenting into the Maker, I'm just all like, damn, that is kind of crazy. I can't imagine what sort of like mental pathing that would put a child through. But I sympathize with what he had to go through before that. But of course, after he descends into the Maker, that's where you lose me. I still think it makes for a compelling villain, because I hate villainy that's just kind of like, I'm evil and I'm bad because I'm a bad boy. Yeah, like that's just kind of lame to me. Of course, there are times when that is like needed or like okay. But I really do like how there is this sort of, is the word pathology? I'm going to use it. Sounds right. There's this sort of pathology into his descent from heroism into this sort of villain. Because I'm sure in his mind, he doesn't see himself as a villain. He's trying to help the world. He's trying to save the world. But the way that he's going about it is just fucking insane. So my girls in the club say, cause you know just how we do. Time to say you want me back if you ain't taking that. Holla, holla, for satisfaction, you independent, got your own things right. Holla, holla, for satisfaction, you independent, got your own things right. Ooh. This beat is hot. Tonight it's on. I'm feeling sexy. I wanna be in control. Handle my business. I'm not afraid. I'm doing nothing. I'm doing this tonight. So let's talk about Susan. So like hands up, Soda kubiru boku wo. Whoa. No, yeah. What the hell did that come from? Anyways, favorite superheroes of all time in no specific order except Spider-Man. He's always going to be number one. Or maybe not. Actually, yeah, I guess all of them are superheroes. So Spider-Man. Now, this next part is in no particular order, but Spider-Man, Ultimate Vision, like 1610 Vision, Susan Storm, and then maybe 1610 Ultimate Jessica Drew, who is Spider-Woman, because she like me for real. Anyways, I feel like a lot of I'm not even gonna lie to you, a lot of my hatred towards Reed probably has to do with the fact that I don't feel like he treats Susan right. And I'm gonna keep it right. Like, listen, coming off the fact that my first introduction to Reed was 1610, people who read the comics, I'm sure you can understand where I'm coming from. Like, and so even though I was into the Fantastic Four as a kid, I don't remember anything from watching those movies as a child, and I don't remember watching the TV show except for the theme song, you know? So it's low-key kind of like my first introduction into who these characters are. Well, actually, no, I did. I only cared about Johnny, though. I didn't give a fuck about anybody else. I was just staring at Jessica Alba. I wasn't paying attention to nothing she said. Anyways, but like looking at a lot of the interactions, specifically in the Ultimate Fantastic Four, the thing that I hated about that comic was that, and I understand, Reed's the main guy, of course, but it really just felt like everybody else was kind of like pushed to the wayside. No, do not start singing that. Just crazy and wild. I'm bored and that's okay. I want to get away, but it's too tired to learn. I want to turn it. No, stop. Fuck. So one, I was not privy to the fact that they were teenagers when I was first reading the comic. I kind of just assumed they were at least like mid-20s, early 20s, somewhere around there. And so I want to say that before I get into it, because I do know I told y'all, remember that they're teenagers. The reason why I'm saying this is because one thing that I really hated was how Susan really felt like her character had no sort of purpose for her whole entire like being there, except to literally and figuratively stroke Reed. Like I'm being so genuinely honest. Like those that first initial run, her character was literally just there to like just like pretty much it. You know what it felt like? Susan's character felt like the nerds in high school who had wet dreams about the cheerleader, and of course she rejected them because they were fucking weird. Not because they're nerds, but just because they're fucking weird, who just so happen to be nerdy. But they have all this built up resentment, and so instead of like working on themselves and becoming an actual better person, they write these characters who are women to what's it called, to get out their sexual frustrations that they've been harboring for fucking decades at this point. That's what she kind of felt like. I'm not gonna lie to you. They gave her character much more range and depth after the Ultimate Fantastic Four, like Ultimate Alien. Again, I don't know the names of stuff. Ultimate Doom, Ultimate Enemy, and all that stuff. So they cleaned it up. And then also, again, knowing the fact that they were teenagers, I guess it does make sense for their actions, because teenagers are fucking weird. I don't know why 30-year-old niggas want to mess with Actually, I do know why, because they're easily manipulatable. That's why you niggas mess with teenagers. Anyways, we don't got to get into that. All throughout the comic, I didn't feel like the relationship between Reed and Susan was, I don't want to say deserved, because it really felt like Susan was sticking her neck out for the dude. I mean, of course, there were moments, again, they're teenagers, there were moments where it was like, oh, But like, I was all like, "Why, honey? Why are you doing this to yourself? Like why are you putting yourself through this?" And I was reading the whole entire comic, going like, "Oh my god, I literally hate these two together." Not because again, this was a long time ago, like a few months ago, so I don't remember specifically what he did, but I remember Reed just pissing me off, and then Susan would just take it, and I was all like, "Baby, you gotta get going. You gotta get going. This is not for you, honestly." And then like the Ultimatum Event happened, and then they broke up. And in the 1610, Susan actually winds up with Ben. It kind of comes out of nowhere, honestly, but I enjoyed that far more than whatever the fuck was going on between her and Reed, because her and Reed was just, Jesus Christ, what were they doing? The 1610 Deadass made fucking Namor seem like a better option than Reed. That's how much I hated Reed, genuinely. I will say the films, oh my god, this video is about to be so long. I will say the film starting with 2005 redeemed my feelings about Reed and my feelings about Reed and Sue together, because I had to rewatch both of the 2005 and 07 movies twice. The original time was with my lack of knowledge of the Fantastic Four, and so I'm not gonna lie to you, I was shitting on Reed the whole entire time. But then I became more of a fan of the Fantastic Four. I rewatched them, I'm just like, you know what? I actually really enjoy those two together in that universe. But let me shit on Reed some more. So in the original 1994 film, Reed has known Sue since she was like 12, and he's in college. Y'all know exactly where I'm going with this, bruh. And you know what? We not listen. I'm not saying nothing's weird. I'm not saying, oh, it's illegal, because everything is legal. I'm just telling y'all the bullet points. Reed has known Susan at minimum since she was like 12, 13, somewhere around there. 12, 13. So since she was a literal child and he was in college. Susan has had a crush on Reed since she was 12, right? And so that nigga years later comes back and tries to recruit Susan for his little expedition, and he's telling Ben, Ben, we can't bring Susan and Johnny on the expedition with us. They're just kids. So he's conscious of the fact that he still sees her as a child. And I don't know how old Susan is in the time skip. I'm just gonna assume, like, I looked it up, and somebody said maybe like 20 or something. 20. I just kind of assumed she was 18, because that's the usual number that these niggas go for. But let's just go with 20. I want to give Reed the best benefit of the doubt. It wasn't anything official. I just looked it up and somebody said she was 20. I don't know if it's official, but I'm going to give Reed the benefit of the doubt. So she was 20. By the way, we're talking about the 1994 film. So she's 20, right? Maybe like 8 years later. Again, this nigga's known her since she was a literal child. He's telling Ben, oh yeah, they're kids. We can't do that. Nigga, he sees Susan and that boy falls in love. I'm like, nigga, what are we doing? No, because I'm already knowing people. Well, Eve, it's legal because I didn't say it wasn't. Well, are you saying this? I didn't say it was weird. I'm just telling y'all the bullet points. And I'll let you niggas expose yourselves. So anyways, in the original 1994 film, Reed falls in love with with a woman that he's known since she was 12 and he was a full-grown ass adult, and yada, yada, yada. Anyways, bring it back for current, or at least like, damn, not current, but like more currently in the 2005 film. I actually really do enjoy these two together. I think they're really cute. I think Johan the original cast of the 2005 films. The 2005 films are so just like extraordinarily charming, and I feel like it's only understandable if you were like a kid back then, because I can't really, if I know there are people who don't like those films, and it's understandable. I think there's a very specific sort of energy that you have to come with or understand about that time or the Fantastic Four itself to really enjoy that film, and I totally understand why some people don't like it. I'm very curious as to what the reception of that film was when it first released, because I feel as though it's one of those sort of, oh my god, I'm about to start fucking singing Vindicated again. It's one of those things where the kids who watched that film originally, we loved it, but the critics / the adults hated it. And of course, those were the loud majority of people back then during that time. I mean, this was like 2005. Social media wasn't as like social media is today. We couldn't say anything. And even back then, kids weren't on social media like that, like they are today. And so our voices weren't heard. And so the hatred was only seen from the adults, whereas us, we've finally grown up and we can talk about like, oh yeah, we actually enjoyed that movie. I feel like that's the same thing for the 2015 adaptation of the Fantastic Four. I know I was supposed to talk about Susan, and now I told you it was unorganized. Anyways, I knew the 2015. I went to the 2015 version of the Fantastic Four expecting to hate it simply because of the way people talk about it. But because of the way that I'm moving now, I don't let the internet try and sway me into believing certain ideologies without me first accessing that piece of media myself, because I've been gypped through that sort of thinking way too many times. So like, I don't trust the internet no more. I really don't. So even though I went into this film expecting it to be bad, I still had an open mind. Now, I'm sorry. Damn, fuck it. I should just stop saying sorry and just like continue my thought. So one thing that I noticed was this film, I feel like, is entirely inspired by the 1610. The thing about Rise of the Silver Surfer is that you can tell that the Galactus story is pretty much adapted very closely to the 1610 version of the Galactus trilogy. I know somebody was talking about why didn't they show Galactus in Rise of the Silver Surfer? Well, Rise of the Silver Surfer came out in 2007, and I assume it was filmed in 2006, right? Well, during that time, at least in the comics, Galactus was never shown. He wasn't shown yet. At that time in 2006, Ultimate Vision would have been the newest comic in the Galactus sort of trilogy. Not Galactus trilogy, but it would have been the newest comic showcasing what Galactus is. And Galactus was only showcased as like a fleet of warships. We didn't get to see his actual design, so there wasn't anything for them to go off of. I really do like how they characterize Galactus in the 2007 film, because I feel like the purple like big guy would have been too comical for the movie, and then the fleet of ships might have been a bit too much. I do like how they sort of characterized him in the 2007 film, even though I know some people have gripes with it. It's just like they didn't have any sort of reference, so they just didn't, go off, I guess. But the 2015 movie, it's taking direct inspiration, I feel as though, at least, from the 1610. Reed is a child. We see him make his way up until he's like 17, 18, and then finally maxing out current day in 20, at 20 years old. And I really felt like this series, if it ever did become a series, could have gone the route of potentially having like some maker event sort of happen. I really did like a lot of what was going on in the film. The cinematography this was the most threatening Victor Von Doom we've ever seen on film. Oh my gosh, and rest in peace to the original Victor from the 2005 duology. But the 2015 version of Doom, he was very threatening when he became Dr. Doom. And it was very fucking scary. He was giving me flashbacks. Of course, it wasn't bloody or anything, but it was giving me flashbacks to the Ultimatum Event and just how much destruction these villains can cause. and how much terror. The 2015 version of the Fantastic Four gives me lots of... The 2015 version of the Fantastic Four is to the original 2005 Fantastic Four as the Amazing Spider-Man is to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. It felt like it was trying to be more grounded, more realistic, it was very much like 2012, 2015 era sort of non-MCU comic book movies. And I was messing with it. I really did. I was enjoying all of the 1610isms that I was noticing. And I do understand why people don't like it. I don't believe it's justified, however. I feel like two things. I feel like people are overly hating it because everybody else hates it. Because I didn't see anything that really showcases that this movie is like terrible. It honestly feels like a very standard MCU movie, even though, yes, I know it's not a part of the MCU, but I've been rewatching a bunch of MCU. I'm going to be honest. I very much question if the MCU ever was as good as people claim it to be. Genuinely speaking, I'm just all like, I feel as though I'm rewatching these films and I'm so like, yeah, I probably enjoyed these as a child, but I'm not a kid anymore. And I'm watching these movies and I'm getting to the ones where I think like, oh yeah, this is about to be a hit. And I'm watching, I'm just like, damn, how much longer is the duration? Because I can't take this shit no more. That's just, I'm just all like, I watched the Fantastic Four 2015. I had the same feeling. I was all like, this is just a standard MCU film to me. Even though, again, I know it's not the MCU, but Miles Teller, I believe is his name, the guy who plays Reed. I didn't know that Reed was supposed to be a kid in the 2015 version. I thought he was supposed to be like the 30-something, 40-something that I was used to. And so I was very much expecting the casting to be all types of wrong. But he does a really good job playing a teenage Reed. He really kind of changed my thoughts. He was the reason why I changed my thoughts on Reed. Because I was thinking to myself, yo, this really is just an awkward kid at the end of the day, you know? And he made him he humanized his character for me. Being all like, you know, he does have these quirky... He does have this little not quirky, but you know, he has this like awkward energy to him that's kind of lovable, you know? And I think he did a really fantastic job. Oh my God. I did not do that on purpose. You can say that again. But he does a really good job playing a young Reed in that film. But yeah, I honestly feel like a lot of the hate that movie gets is undeserved. It's a standard superhero movie from that time. It does everything that other MCU movies do, or at least it feels like every other MCU movie. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to skirt past this because I know I'm going to trigger a lot of people with this statement, so I don't even want to harp on it too much. Another thing, again, it's an internet mob. If like 50 people on Twitter say they don't like something, then everybody else says they don't like something because niggas can't make opinions for themselves. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to move on swiftly afterwards. I feel as though a lot of the hatred, that movie came out in 2015, correct? I feel like a lot of the hatred that this movie gets would not be seen if JohnnyStorm was casted as some other actor. Anyways, let's move on. Actually, I lied. I'm coming back. I think it's very interesting because if y'all were around during the original reveal of the Amazing Spider-Man featuring, I almost said Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield in like 2011. This was also during the time when they revealed Miles Morales in the Ultimate Spider-Man. There's so much hate. I mean, Spider-Man was getting shitted on. They hated the fact that Toby was getting replaced. I listen, I admitted I was one of those people. I was one of those people who was crying their asses off after they saw that Toby wasn't coming back. I remember the dislikes on that initial YouTube video. Woo, boy, them dislikes were long. And then everybody was shitting on Miles because they're like, what the fuck? They got it. As Spider-Man, we got it. It's Spider-Man. I remember that shit. It really does feel like that very early 2010s-esque energy that people had towards Spider-Man is being showcased towards the Fantastic Four 2015 film. Except whereas today people have redeemed or vindicated the TASM, the TASM movies, and people now all of a sudden really like Miles Morales. I shouldn't say all of a sudden. It's just very wild to remember like his first reveal and seeing all the hatred that people were giving him to now people like loving the guy. I don't know. It's still bizarre to me. But whereas those two characters / films have been redeemed, there's still this very much big hate mob showcase towards the 2015 version of the Fantastic Four. Again, it's not that I loved it. I didn't. But it's not, I also didn't hate it. But I can definitely see in the future there will be like a surge of kids who watched it when they were younger and are going to be like, no, this film was actually pretty enjoyable. I really liked it. It's the same thing that happened with the kids around my age with the 2005 version of the Fantastic Four. Just give it like another 10, 20 years, and I'm sure that's probably going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised, at least. Oh my God! Y'all, oh my God, I'm sorry again. Unorganized. I gotta stop apologizing. Yo, I've been recording this for almost 2 hours, an hour and 35 minutes. Yo, the Wayside intro was sung by Sky Sweetnam. What the hell? I had no clue that's where she went. What the fuck? I'm bored and that's no fun. I wanna get away, but I'm too excited to learn. I'm gonna find a place where there are no rules and the world is wild. I have the tools to make things happen and the reaction will explode. The lights go off, the world turns upside down. I brought the party to town. Okay, anyways. Y'all remember a side of rice, a little broccoli. On the way home, I saw a mystery. I sung the wrong lyric at the wrong time. But it's just another night in the city. Delivery. 3 delivery. It's 3 delivery. 3 delivery. Toby was my favorite, but Sid was always the hottest. Anyways. 'Cause it's just another night in the city. Okay, we almost had 2 hours. Alright, so I'm recording this on the 19th of July. I believe the Fantastic Four First Steps releases in like on the 25th. I'm gonna just look up First Steps. Is that even the title of the... Yeah. I'm really bad with titles if you can't tell. Or names of anything. Unless they have to do with song lyrics. Yeah, the 25th. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen any promotional footage. I don't know anything about what's gonna go on in it. I'm just very curious as to how everything's gonna go down. I don't know. I don't even know why I brought this up because I don't know anything. Because y'all know more about it than I do. Because again, all I've seen is like a screenshot of them sitting on a couch. And that's it. I haven't seen any trailers. I haven't seen any sort of like, I don't know anything. You know what? And I'll leave it there. Because I've just been lore dumping for way too long. I know apparently they're going to adapt the Doomsday Event into the MCU. I haven't gotten to that part in the comics yet. So that's interesting. I'm very interested to see if they're going to go like Dr. Doom. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired of talking. This is actually an interesting... I wanted to talk about this. There was things I wanted to talk about being all like the potential of... Do I see themselves adapting the Maker with current day reedrichards of Pedro Pascal? Not really, but I could potentially see them going the route of having Tony, or at least this version of Dr. Doom, being the Maker, potentially. Because why the fuck is Robert Downey Jr. coming back as like a different character, it would be kind of, you know, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I'm tired of talking. I'm bored and that's no fun. I want to get away.